Okay, today we're digging into something, well, something that really lives in the shadows of conspiracy theories and folklore. It's got this really interesting name, the Gatekeeper's Remorse.
Hmm.
And our plan for this deep dive is to unpack what that actually means. We're looking at various accounts, some research notes you shared, trying to figure out what this idea tells us, not just about secrets maybe, but about us, about people.
Right.
So the basic idea, the Gatekeeper's Remorse, it's this claim that there are certain people out there, maybe in governments, big companies, secret societies even, who are holding back truths. And not just any truth, but stuff so big, so shattering, they actually fear civilization couldn't handle it. It would just collapse.
Yeah, the idea is the foundations would crumble. They get called different things too, right? The hidden hands, the custodians, even the watchers, guardians of knowledge is just too dangerous, supposedly.
Too destabilizing. But then there's the twist, the remorse part. That's key, isn't it?
That's the absolute core of it. It's not just that they suppress things, that the theory goes that these same gatekeepers, they sometimes regret it deeply.
Like a guilty conscience.
Exactly, annoying conscience. So maybe they leak little bits, drop hints, It creates this picture of secrecy, suppression, but also these little cracks, these like guilty slips that give us a peek.
Okay, so let's define them a bit more.
Yeah.
Who are these alleged gatekeepers? Are we talking specific roles or is it more vague?
Well, the folklore paints a pretty broad picture, actually. You hear about high-level intelligence people, naturally. Archivists in really old places, like the Vatican gets mentioned a lot.
Right, ancient secrets.
Yeah. Or powerful CEOs, corporate leaders. Even rogue scientists who maybe stumbled onto something huge, something paradigm-shifting. They're seen as the ultimate librarians, almost, deciding what humanity gets to read.
Deciding what we're ready for.
Precisely.
And the knowledge itself.
Yeah.
Is it the usual stuff? Aliens, Area 51?
Yeah.
Or is it bigger than that?
Oh, it's much bigger. It touches on, well, everything fundamental. The theories cover things like suppressed archaeology.
Like finding ruins that completely rewrite history.
Exactly. Ruins that push human civilization back way, way further than we think. Then there's secret tech. Things like zero-point energy, anti-gravity, advanced AI, all supposedly locked away in these black projects, kept secret.
Hidden from us.
Right. And yes, ET evidence is definitely a big part of it. Crash retrievals, alien biology. Some theories even talk about interdimensional contact.
Wow.
And then there's the really deep stuff, what some call forbidden knowledge, fundamental truths about consciousness maybe, or what happens after death, the nature of reality itself.
It's a huge concept.
Massive. But the key point isn't just that the secrets exist, it's that these gatekeepers actively keep them hidden. Purposefully.
And it's that remorse you mentioned.
Right.
That's what makes this theory different. They're not just like shadowy villains pulling strings.
Yeah.
That's the nuance, yeah. The theory suggests they're often, well, haunted by it, burdened by guilt. They might want to tell us, to share these incredible things.
But they can't.
They feel they can't. Maybe they're bound by oaths, or there are threats involved, or maybe it's a genuine, deep-seated fear, maybe even an altruistic one about the chaos it would unleash.
So this inner conflict, that's the remorse.
That's the remorse, and it's that anguish, supposedly, that leads to the leaks, the hints, like a subconscious cry for help, almost.
So this phrase, the gatekeeper's remorse, where did that actually come from? It doesn't sound very official.
No, definitely not official, not academic, not political. It really seems to have bubbled up from late 20th century conspiracy folklore.
Okay.
Some of the earliest connections are maybe to the circle around Charles Fort. You know, the guy who chronicled all those weird, unexplained anomalies back in the early 1900s?
Right, the damned data.
Exactly. His followers kind of observed scientists, or thought they did, sort of hinting at impossible things while publicly dismissing anyone who took it seriously.
Like they were winking, almost, keeping their hands clean.
Precisely. Plausible deniability. Then later, UFO researchers really picked up on the idea. They started applying it to intelligence insiders. People who maybe confessed weird little details later in life.
The sickbed confessions and things like that.
Yeah, you hear those stories. An old CIA guy supposedly revealing stuff about crashed disks. A NASA engineer muttering about photos they had to scrub from Apollo missions. Maybe a Vatican archivist anonymously mailing cryptic transcripts.
Oh, verifiable.
Often not. But each story, real or not, just fed the legend, this idea that the truth was being kept, and some keepers just couldn't take the silence anymore.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, the alleged examples. What are some of the classic stories people point to? Where do they say we actually see this remorse in action?
Well, the most dramatic ones are usually the deathbed confessions, like you said. Paul Hellyer is a name that comes up, former Canadian defense minister.
Right, I've heard of him.
Yeah, back in 2013, he went public saying governments knew about aliens. And he specifically insisted he'd been briefed by insiders who told him they could not die with the secret.
Wow, that fits the narrative perfectly.
It really does. And then online, you find all these alleged CIA confession tapes, usually grainy videos of old guys claiming they were involved in retrieving alien craft or something. Mostly unverified, of course, but powerful for believers.
And what about whistleblowers, people who are still alive who step out?
Absolutely. That's another huge category. People claiming they worked in these deep black budget programs.
Describing incredible technology.
Yeah, tech that sounds decades, maybe centuries ahead of what we know publicly. They rarely give you, like, the actual blueprints.
No smoking gun.
Right, just tantalizing hints. Bob Lazar is probably the most famous example, though, very controversial. Late 80s, claimed he worked on reverse engineering alien propulsion systems near Area 51.
Lazar, yeah. Huge debate around him.
Huge. Skeptics have picked his story apart. But for people who believe in this stuff, he's like the archetype of the gatekeeper in conflict. Someone who broke ranks, maybe out of remorse, maybe something else, to give us a piece of the puzzle.
So it's less about full disclosure, more like breadcrumbs, leaving clues.
That's the general idea, yeah. And it's not just government and military. Religious institutions get pulled in too.
Like the Vatican Library rumors.
Exactly. Persistent stories about hidden texts, pre-Christian civilizations, lost gospels, maybe even records of ancient alien contact. And the theory suggests maybe, just maybe, a priest or a scholar weighed down by conscience leaks a fragment. Just enough to make researchers wonder what else is locked away.
It does make you wonder, what about, say, scientists? Are they seen as gatekeepers too? Hiding breakthroughs?
Oh, definitely. There are accusations against physicists, particularly those in classified military or corporate projects, hiding breakthroughs in energy, propulsion, maybe even consciousness research.
Things that could change the world.
Absolutely. And sometimes a paper might supposedly slip out, maybe decades old, but seems way too advanced for its time. Believers see that as, again, a breadcrumb, a sign from a remorseful insider wanting the knowledge to eventually surface.
Okay, so if we try to tie this all together, what are the core beliefs driving this gatekeeper's remorse idea?
Right. Looking at the big picture, you can sort of boil it down to three main tenets, often linked together. First is this idea that the world is already changed. Meaning it's not about waiting for some huge revelation like alien contact, finding Atlantis, or getting free energy. The belief is that stuff has already happened.
It's already here, just hidden.
That's the core premise, we just haven't been told.
Yeah.
Which leads to the second belief. The gatekeepers are protecting us.
Protecting us from the truth.
Well, not exactly from the truth itself, but from what they perceive would be the consequences of releasing it. Think mass panic, economic collapse, religions imploding, governments losing control, total chaos.
It's quite a burden to carry, assuming it's true.
An unimaginable burden. And that brings us straight to the third belief. The gatekeepers are human.
They feel guilt.
Immense guilt, according to the theory. They live with this constant inner conflict. They see the world suffering, war, poverty, disease, possibly knowing that solutions or profound truths are locked away somewhere. And it's their remorse, their very human conscience, that supposedly forces these little leaks, these hints, out into the open.
Okay, so if these secrets are so big, world-changing,
right,
why hide them in the first place? What are the motives people point to?
Well, proponents suggest a few powerful drivers. One is just raw power.
Knowledge is power.
Exactly. If only a tiny group holds these revolutionary truths, they maintain control over everything else. Another big one is profit. Think about it. What would truly free abundant energy do to the existing energy sector? Or advanced healing tech to the pharmaceutical industry? It could collapse entire global industry.
That resonates. You can see why powerful interests might resist that. What else?
Then there's the idea of maintaining social order. This sort of paternalistic belief that the masses, just aren't ready.
We couldn't handle the truth.
That's the argument. Disclosure would cause riots, destabilize governments, maybe shatter deeply held religious beliefs, widespread panic. So suppression is framed as a necessary evil to keep society stable. And then there's a more esoteric idea sometimes, something like cosmic law.
Meaning?
The idea that maybe humanity is being tested or guided, that disclosure has to happen slowly, organically, and the gatekeepers are maybe unconsciously instruments in this gradual process.
Wow, okay. So when proponents talk about evidence for these leaks, these remorseful leaks, what do they actually look like? What are the patterns they claim to see?
They describe these subtle patterns, things like anonymous documents suddenly appearing, sent to researchers maybe, often with just enough tantalizing data to hook you, make you dig deeper, but not quite enough to give you the whole picture or concrete proof.
Leaving you wanting more.
Exactly. Or finding strange comments in official declassified files. Or maybe redactions that seem sloppy, almost deliberately clumsy, as if someone wanted you to notice something was hidden there.
Implying intent behind the redaction.
Right. And sometimes it's even more symbolic. People point to alleged hidden messages in public monuments or coded references in art or literature, supposedly left by insiders as clues for future generations.
Like a secret history hidden in plain sight.
That's the romantic notion. In this view, none of these are accidents. They're seen as deliberate little breadcrumbs, puzzle pieces dropped by a gatekeeper wrestling with their conscience, a way to ease the burden without fully breaking silence.
Okay, we have to ask, what do the skeptics say about all this? The gatekeeper's remorse theory. It sounds like prime territory for skepticism.
Oh, absolutely. And skeptics have quite a bit to say. Their arguments mostly land on psychology. They argue this is largely a narrative we tell ourselves, born from our human need to find meaning and believe in hidden order.
Like pattern seeking.
Exactly. They point to cognitive bias. We tend to see patterns in random noise, right? So a smudge on a document becomes a secret code if you're already looking for one.
Pareidolia, finding faces in clouds, that kind of thing.
Sort of like that, yeah. Applied to information. And many of the most dramatic stories, like the deathbed confessions, are often dismissed as hoaxes. They're usually impossible to verify, and let's be honest, some could easily be created for attention or maybe even money.
Right. The motivation isn't always remorse.
Could be anything. And then there's the echo chamber effect. Conspiracy echo chambers. Once a cool phrase like gatekeeper's remorse gets into the mix,
people start seeing it everywhere.
Precisely. Believers might start reinterpreting every old rumor, every weird event. Through that lens, it becomes a self-confirming narrative. So skeptics basically say, you don't need to invent remorseful insiders. All you need is the very human desire to believe that huge secrets exist and are just about to be revealed.
It taps into that hope for something bigger.
It does. But what's interesting is how the idea of remorse itself reflects something real. It speaks to our desire for accountability, for transparency, even if we have to imagine it coming from a place of guilt within the system.
But, okay, even if you're skeptical about the grand conspiracy, secrecy itself can cause remorse, right? That part feels psychologically true.
Absolutely. And this is where the theory touches on something very real, something documented. Studies on whistleblowers consistently show the heavy psychological toll. Guilt, anxiety, paranoia. It comes with keeping big secrets.
Yeah.
You have intelligence officers who've talked later in life about the struggle of knowing things they couldn't share, the moral weight of it, or scientists working on classified projects. They might face huge moral conflicts if their work could help humanity, but it's locked away, maybe for military purposes only.
So the feeling of remorse, the burden, that's real, regardless of whether these specific leaks are happening as described.
Exactly. In that sense, gatekeeper's remorse isn't just some wild conspiracy theory label. It points to a genuine human condition. The psychological burden of holding secrets, especially world-altering ones. It taps into something relatable, even if the scale is different.
That makes sense.
And some theorists actually push this even further. They suggest these remorseful leaks aren't accidental slips at all.
Oh, what then?
They suggest it's part of a larger intentional plan. In ufology, for example, they call it gradual disclosure.
Okay, I've heard that term.
The idea is that maybe these gatekeepers are strategically, deliberately leaking fragments. Not out of guilt, necessarily, but to slowly get humanity used to the idea. To acclimate us to truths that would be too shocking if revealed all at once.
So the remorse is almost weaponized, or used as a tool.
In that view, yeah. It's a controlled release, maybe even managed by the gatekeepers themselves, designed to prepare us without causing mass panic. Remorse becomes part of the strategy.
Wow, okay, so whether it's genuine guilt or strategic leaks or just wishful thinking, this theory really goes beyond just aliens or tech, doesn't it? It seems like it's fundamentally about ethics.
It absolutely is. At its deepest level, it forces you listening, to confront a really profound ethical question.
Yeah.
If you were a gatekeeper, Imagine you somehow knew a truth that could genuinely liberate humanity or maybe destroy it. What would you actually do?
Keep it secret. Believing you're protecting people.
Believing you're protecting billions, maybe? Convince the world just isn't ready. Or would you reveal it, knowing the chaos, the upheaval, maybe even the destruction it could unleash?
Yeah, that's a heavy choice.
An impossible choice, maybe. And then the follow-up question, if you chose silence, if you chose to keep that secret locked away, would you regret it? Would that silence eat away at you for the rest of your life? That right there, that feeling, that's the real human core of the Gatekeeper's remorse.
So whether you believe the theory itself, the stories, that central dilemma is powerful. It makes you think about the weight of secrets.
Definitely. And one thing seems true throughout history, secrets, especially the big ones, they always weigh heavily on the soul.
From a scientist building a weapon they can't talk about?
So the priest guarding scrolls nobody else can see, or the intelligence officer who witnessed something they have to deny, every gatekeeper, real or imagined, is also human. Deeply human.
And humans.
And humans, sooner or later, often find a way to confess, or at least to let something slip. It really makes you consider the implications, doesn't it? This hidden knowledge and the immense unseen burden carried by anyone who might actually hold it.